完璧などありえない。この世界は不完全だ。だから美しい。
もうバカ。
何？
俺は海賊王になる。なんて美味しさなの。
力を渡した時に言ったことを覚えているかい？くれ。違う、そこじゃない。
変態。遅い。
Hello and welcome to More Than Hentai, a podcast that is here to show you that anime is far more than just tentacles and catgirls. There's also countless stories of love, loss, laughs, hope, horror, and happiness that are just dying to be found. And I, Brendan White, the Salt and Pepper Senpai, am here to help you find them. More Than Hentai is powered by Audio Technica and our friends over at Dash Water. Go upgrade your audio and liquid game today. And joining me on this episode is one of the busiest and coolest dudes I know, whether it be running his own successful media magazine known as Pario, podcasting up a storm on the commentary booth, or making local professional wrestlers' dreams come true with Australian wrestling cards. This man is always grinding. He's a writer, publisher, podcaster, and YouTube creator, plus many things. From an anime standpoint, he's big on Dragon Ball Z and Yu-Gi-Oh! You can find all the brilliant work that he does by either at Pario Magazine, and that's PARIO MAGAZINE, or at Jamie Apps Media. Jamie, welcome to the Riverside Studio, my friend. How might you be doing?
I'm just as busy as you, I think, but yeah, other than that, very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, mate, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. Yeah, we are fellow grinders. We are fellow tape watchers and content creators, if I guess we want to broad brush ourselves. But I think that probably sells you a little short. Like I'm doing a bit of podcasting primarily and, working a 9 to 5 and whatnot. But you, my friend, you are doing just about everything. So maybe we could start with that and get a bit of an understanding of the Jamie story, what you do, where people can find you, etc., etc. You can sort of take us on whatever journey you like from an overall Jamie Apps perspective, and then we'll sort of shift into the anime talk. But yeah, give us the origin story. Give us the who is your daddy? What does he do? Give us the whatever you want to share. Let's do it.
So yeah, the main thing is Pario Magazine, interviewing people with a desire to create. So that could be anyone from podcasters, wrestlers, actors, musicians. I've had like a wrestling belt maker, just basically anyone that does anything creative. Then from there, that spins off into the Commentary Booth podcast, rating, reviewing movies and TVs to help people find their next viewing treat.
Mm-hmm.
And the latest crazy endeavor is Australian wrestling cards, professional wrestling trading cards for the Australian independent scene, purely independent card sets away from all of the promotions. So we get a nice mixture of everyone from across the country and different places in their career and different locations around the country. So we've had people that are sort of in their first year of wrestling. We've had people that have been retired for 10 or 20 years, and all in between. We've had people that are signed overseas and wrestling overseas as well, and all the locals. So it's nice and busy. And I've literally last week sent out the 2024 set to go to print. So that should be,
okay,
fingers crossed, coming back before Christmas, but we will see.
It's so good. And very, very briefly and humbly touched on the many things you do there. Like, you've interviewed some very, very, very heavy hitters. It's not like you're just talking to schmucks like myself, even though you did talk to myself once in Pario as well, which I was very thankful for. But like, you've talked to some like Hollywood heavy hitters, like talking wrestling and just broader giant megastars. Like, you've talked to Logan Paul, you've talked to countless musicians, content creators, comedians, you name it. Like, you've walked many paths and had so many good, interesting, honest discussions with people from all walks of life. So yeah, Pario is doing some really cool things. Commentary Booth is a really good accompaniment to what you're doing there as well. Like you mentioned, reviewing films and TVs and hopefully finding someone's next favorite thing. And that's exactly what we're doing here on More Than Hentai, trying to find the next anime for whether it be yourself or another co-host or a listener to jump in and consume and hopefully appreciate. So that I like that there's some synergies there. But the Australian wrestling cards thing, it is so cool and so out of left field. I find, at least like the way my brain works, because I don't know anyone else that's in the card game. Like I know a lot of cardboard collectors, but I don't know anybody literally making cards from the ground up. So can you explain like where that idea came from, how you turned that idea into reality? And I'm assuming like obviously countless hours goes into this, but like where the hell do you start with this? Like I don't know anyone that's made cards. Like it is such an unknown alien world for me. So I want to know all about it.
So the initial idea came when I saw an ad for the AEW when they had a set about to release. Watching Dynamite, they were promoting the cards coming out, and then I thought back to it. And when I went to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla for the Battle of Los Angeles in 2015, I think it was, when Robbie Eagles, Adam Brooks, and Jonah, who's now Bronson Reed, were representing Australia, 3 Aussies representing Australia in that really prestigious independent wrestling tournament. I decided I'm going to go over to LA for, I think I was there for 4 days and then came home.
You're an animal.
And there was a person there that every year they make a fan-made set of all of the competitors in the tournament. And I thought back to that. I was like, they were actually a really cool memorabilia piece. So then with seeing that ad, I was like, there's nothing like that here in Australia. Let's research this. Let's see if it is a viable option. Found a printer who could do it for me at a reasonable price with the cards printed, the like foil booster packs that I then use to sell the cards. So that's gives it that little bit of extra prestige. It's not just here's your cards in with a rubber band around them. And then it was, right, I probably need to contact some wrestlers and photographers. And thankfully, through being a pretty hardcore wrestling fan and having done some interviews and stuff locally, I had some connections. I contacted a few of those people and I got, I would say, the top dog of Australian wrestling at the moment, Robbie Eagles, as the first person to be like, yeah, put me in and let's go. And then I think from there it was a domino effect of every person I asked was like, yep, cool, I'm happy to be involved. And once the cards were, the first set I built, set of 30 cards, and then I printed 50 sets of those 30, thinking, oh, this will take 12 months to sell the entire run of cards. And I sold out in 2.5 months. I was like, oh.
So good.
Well, I probably can't wait 9 months before I put out another set. So it was quickly back to the drawing board, design up another set of 30 cards, put those out. They've done really well. I think I've got maybe 6 sets left. No, 6 packs left of not 6 sets. So there's a couple of those left if people want to get those for Christmas, but they're pretty much all gone. And then, yeah, the 2024 set is now locked in at the printer. They've just got to print them, pack them, send them back to me, and then they'll be up on the website for pre-orders in January.
Hell yeah. Where can listeners go hunt the Australian wrestling card stuff down? Where's the best place for them to go? I'll put it obviously in the show notes, but if you want to mention it too, if people lazy don't want to look at the notes.
It is, the best one is pariomagazine.com.au/Oz Rest Cards, AUSWRESCARDS.
Okay, perfect. That is it's so damn cool. Like I love cards. Ever since I was a youngin', I had a massive collection, primarily NBA when I was little, but like as I've gotten older, I've got in my sort of cupboard just off camera here, there's Pokemon cards, there's WWE cards, there's NFL, there's NBA, there's like some of the Marvel Artist Series ones, which are really pretty as well. So I think I need to add some Australian wrestling cards to my collection. So I'll get on over and grab maybe some of this current set and then hopefully peak some of that 2024. Have you got any plans to do like maybe some limited like signed cards in there? You know how people get a bit thirsty for, you know, the one of ones with this autograph of particular wrestlers. Is that on the roadmap? I don't know if you can unveil that, but I'm just asking while we're here.
So yeah, in the standard run sets, I can't do that because the printer packs them all for me.
Oh yeah, true.
So they would have to be a separate print and then they would have to be sold separately, which I have done. I've collaborated with one of the photographers from Sydney, Sarah Newman of New Photography, and we did a run of cards for the Her Moments series of photos, which are like the backstage portraits of the wrestlers after they've just had like a pivotal moment in their careers.
Oh, really?
So
I love that concept.
We did a set of those cards and did some individually signed ones for Jessica Troy. And then I collaborated with Pro Wrestling Down Under, a wrestling news website here in Australia, and for their 2023 Wrestler of the Year, and we sold signed cards for those performers that were given that award.
So good. So good. Yeah, we're very spoiled. We've got a constant good farm of Australian professional wrestlers doing good things and then getting recognized on the global stage. So maybe you found a couple of future WWE or AEW stars in a couple of these sets that could go on to very, very big things.
Well, that's the hope with some of these cards, that people will get these cards, get them signed at shows, and then 5-6 years down the line, you have the first ever card of a wrestler that is holding a world title in one of those promotions. Like,
so good.
Like, I would love to have got Grayson Waller before he went over. That would have been so phenomenal. But yeah, so we've got people like Robbie Eagles. We've had Jessica Troy, who I think is destined for big things. Delta's in the sets. Who else is in there that I think is... Oh, Ben Braxton. I think he's a guy that is very much in the WWE mold. He's a big, tall, 6 foot something guy, jacked and athletic as all hell. He does a springboard moonsault and makes it look like the easiest thing in the world.
I'm constantly in awe of the athleticism of some of these performers. Like, I watched, like most people that were either in or lapsed professional wrestling fans, I watched Raw this week with the return of CM Punk, and I watched the Creed brothers rumble in that tag team turmoil match I think they did. And some of the athleticism of those two dudes and the strength, I'm sitting there going, get the hell out of here. Like, you are Superman, my friend. Like, the power that these dudes have and the agility and the finesse they have in these giant muscular body types. I'm like, man, I'm very jealous. As a fella that's just 5'11" and not in the best shape, I see these guys and go, God damn it, give me just one of your genes. Give me 2% of what you're doing. Please make me better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of these guys are just freak athletes who, if they had put their dedication and passion into another sport, would be at the top of that sport as well.
Yeah, they just got that good genes and that good DNA. And speaking of good, let's talk about anime. Let's talk about your history, your experience with anime. Like I mentioned, as far as the Q&A that I got you to fill out sort of before we jumped on, just to get a bit of an understanding of things you enjoyed from a viewing perspective. You mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Z as, I guess, a couple of favorites, or maybe anime gateway drugs that got you into this medium and piqued a bit of interest. So let's hear that story.
So yeah, growing up, I think the first one would have been Dragon Ball Z, thanks to Cheese TV. I think like a lot of people my age. Yeah, so Cheese TV, Dragon Ball Z was the first one, and then obviously I think they then brought in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, those sort of ones. And then since then, I've kind of gone back and watched some Mobile Suit Gundam. My partner and her daughter highly recommended Demon Slayer.
Hell yeah.
Which I started on the plane over there the first time I went over. Not the last time, the time before I went over there. And then my iPad died and I plugged it in and there wasn't enough power coming from the charge. The PowerPoint
from the PowerPoint in the chairs
to charge my iPad, because it's an iPad Pro, and it was just like, this isn't enough for me, so it just wouldn't charge. So I got a decent way through it, and then obviously during the holiday didn't get time to watch it, and then came back and Netflix took it off Netflix, so I couldn't watch the rest.
God, I'm gonna have to send you my Crunchyroll login so you can watch the rest, because it is so good.
That's okay.
It is one of my favorites.
I've been supplied with the Funimation login, so I can watch it
Oh,
there.
that makes me very happy. Yeah, it's a good assortment. I love that you checked out Gundam as well. Like there's so many iterations and so many spin-offs over the last like 3 decades of its existence. So whether you go back and watch the nostalgia hit of Gundam from 20, 30 years ago, or you want to chuck on some of the newer iterations like The Witch from Mercury that they've done. There's 2 seasons of that out at the moment from the last couple of years. Is so good. It's so good. So yeah, you're eating well. You've got some good sort of things on the viewing schedule there. Demon Slayer is certainly up there. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's quickly climbing those ranks, and we haven't even seen the completion of the manga yet. I've got the whole box set slightly blurred behind me here on this bookshelf, but yeah, I'm excited. Even though I know where the story's going, I'm excited to see it translated to screen because it is some of the most beautiful animation, not only in just anime, but just in an animation sense across any genre that I've ever seen. Like Ufotable, the production company behind it, they are on something good there. It's some very rare air, and it is gorgeous. The combat scenes and the sword play and the character models, it's stunning. So yeah, check out Demon Slayer. We've got an episode of Demon Slayer coming to More Than Hentai in the very near future. But yeah, it sounds like you've sort of been in and out. You've dipped a bit of a toe here and there with anime, but yeah, you're not sort of regularly consuming anime, week by week. It's just erratically here or there, or when your partner might recommend you checking out something.
Yeah, it's kind of when I hear from somebody that, oh, this is a really great show, you should watch it. So, like,
Okay.
yeah, Demon Slayer, Tokyo Ghoul that you've recommended. Attack on Titan was another one that I started and then didn't finish, but I want to get back to it now that it is completed, so I can actually,
Yes.
I know I've got an end point with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the Star Wars Visions ones, they've been a great like introduction to a bunch of different art styles in anime as well.
It's gorgeous. Like, I love that Disney and the Star Wars universe are taking the occasional risk. Like, it is very much paint by numbers with the majority of what they do. But yeah, Visions is so out of left field. And like you mentioned, it introduces you to so many new artistic concepts and styles. And it is all gorgeous when it's either, dialed right up or scaled right back as far as minimalism goes. And yeah, it's well worth a watch too. Anyone that hasn't checked that out on Disney Plus, add that to your rotation very quickly, because yeah, it's good, and they're great little self-contained stories that are enjoyable and just a visual feast. Like, you are eating with your eyes watching that.
And I think it's a perfect way to help you find what particular anime style appeals to you as well, because there were episodes in there where I was like, this story is cool, but I just am not vibing this animation style. So yeah, I know, okay, if it's potentially a show by that studio is not going to appeal to me as much as one by X other studio, then that's a good little way for you to weed out and carve a path.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, because yeah, there is, not all anime is made the same. That's for sure. It doesn't all look the same. It's not the same blueprint and archetype studio to studio. There is different nuances and character styles that certain studios are known for and others that aren't. So yeah, there's some that you might watch where those story beats could just grab you and you could be in, but you'd be like, I hate how these characters are animated, or I hate how these scenes are colored, or the way they do really minimalist backgrounds with high detail foreground. Like, there's certain things that can be pretty jarring to the brain from an anime perspective. So yeah, I think being able to get a smorgasbord almost with something like Star Wars Visions, where you're getting so many different bites of that cherry and seeing what works, and then you can go from there and expand your anime horizons from there, hopefully.
Yep. Yeah, and it's all like in a familiar setting, so it's not like you're trying to watch something that you have no idea what's happening. Like, it's Star Wars, so you have at least that footing. Exactly.
It's familiar, it's comfortable. There's no weird tentacles and cat girls like I mentioned off the rip there. It's a world and a universe where even if you've only ever watched one Star Wars film or one TV show, you'll feel right at home checking out Visions, even if it does look visually very different. But yeah, you mentioned at the start there. So for listeners, for the first time checking out More Than Hentai, the way this works is we've had Jamie fill out a Q&A, as I mentioned, just to get a bit of a feel for his viewing habits. And based off that, I've tried to find an anime that he's yet to watch that I hope will be a solid recommendation, and he'll enjoy it. And we're going to now deep dive on the first episode of that anime and talk about the good, the bad, everything else in between. And the title in focus for this episode is none other than Tokyo Ghoul, which is a dark fantasy manga series written and illustrated by Sui Ishida. It was serialized in Shishida's Seinen magazine, Weekly Shonen Jump, from September 2011 through to September 2014. Tokyo Ghoul has over 47 million copies in circulation worldwide as of the end of 2021. Couldn't find any more current data from there, but it is still making it one of the best-selling manga series of all time. The manga has also been adapted into 2 live-action films, various video games, and an anime television series produced by Perio that aired in 2014. We're going to be talking about the first episode from the first season of 12 episodes, and Tokyo Ghoul itself, it currently holds a score of 7.79 on my anime list, and it's based off 1.8 million user reviews. So it is heavily favored, reviewed very, very positively. And yeah, a lot of people in and around the internet love Tokyo Ghoul. It is the 9th most popular anime on all of my anime lists. So yeah, people be thirsting for Tokyo Ghoul. And the story of Tokyo Ghoul is as follows. In Tokyo, a reserve college student named Ken Kaneki encounters a menacing threat of flesh-eating ghouls that look human. He meets Rise Kamishiro, who turns out to be a dangerous ghoul. After a struggle with her, Kaneki receives organ transplants from her after her death, turning him into a human-ghoul hybrid. He grapples with his changing identity and tries to retain his humanity amidst the conflict between ghouls and government agents. So the first episode is called Tragedy. Where do you want to start this sucker off, Jamie? Do we want to just jump right on into this fantastic, juicy visual feast of a cold open, or do we want to go somewhere else? The story is yours to tell. Where do you want to begin this talk?
I'm happy to just start, and we'll just go through it in the order of the episode, I guess.
It would make the most sense, I'd assume. But you know what? We can have some fun with it. Yeah. So we get this very, very, very impressive open. We're sort of seeing Tokyo, the cityscape, from a helicopter that's sort of flying high above the skyline. We're getting some really, really beautiful like traffic neon light usage from like the headlights and the taillights of the cars. And we're sort of getting those like light waves or light vapor waves or whatever you call it when you slow the shutter speed down and you can get the light tear from a headlight or a taillight. So really, really pretty opening. We've got this helicopter flying around. They're sort of doing some voice work at the moment. You're sort of like, what's happening? And then it cuts to this multi-rise apartment. We're almost in the penthouse. Very glamorous, very luxurious. We see this female who is a ghoul, and she is killing and feasting on this series of bodies, but it is equally as disturbing as it is gorgeous, this scene, because the usage of light and neon, and we've got this massive giant wraparound fish tank with these really gorgeously illustrated koi fish swimming around. So we're seeing some of the light from the apartment throw itself and reflect and refract off the fish tank. The character model's looking really cool. It's dimly lit, but yeah, we've got pops of purple and red and viscera. And it's just a cool moment. And then it gets even cooler because this unnamed dude arrives and he's pretty hulking and he's wearing a hockey mask. And you're like, what the hell is going on in these opening few minutes? Like, there is a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, it definitely shocks you and like leaves you second guessing everything in that opening sequence. But yeah, the very first thing I wrote down was stunning cityscape. Like the visuals on that opening panning shot are insanely pretty. Like, wow.
Yeah, the team at Perio or Piro, I still don't know how you pronounce the sort of production studio's name appropriately, so apologies for the people that are working there. The animation team behind Tokyo Ghoul, they understood the assignment. Like, it is a jaw-dropping open, and going from this very beautiful vista to then this really fancy high-end apartment complex. You're like, oh, this is cool. And then straight into body parts getting chewed on and blood sort of, she's holding limbs and body parts up and there's blood dripping down into her mouth. Like, it's a really, really jarring and confronting scene, especially because, she just looks like a fairly normal, beautiful woman that just, I guess, has a bit of a thing for flesh. And then the big hulking dude that rolls in with the hockey mask and mentions he's had orders from above to take this woman alive. So you're like, okay, There's sort of like a hierarchy here with the ghouls, I assume, what's going to play out. And he sort of charges in to attempt to attack her, but she sort of evades him, and you sort of see these extensions out of her body. I don't know if it's like blood or just like red shaped appendages shoot back out into the fish tank, puncture holes into the fish tank. The water flushes through and knocks the hockey mask guy down, and it gives her enough time to evade. And in the same time, she steals his like set of pliers, and she sort of somehow like blink of an eye, she's evaded this big dude who was pretty imposing. You think he was going to go to town and cause a lot of ruckus in this apartment complex, but no, she agile, quick as a cat, into the rafters and then almost up to the rooftop of the apartment complex, throws his pliers away, said, that was an interesting interaction, but was a little bit bored. And then we get a really, really simple Tokyo Ghoul title card after these few minutes. You're like, oh, okay, so this is the world. This is the introduction. We don't get the standard anime opening with an audible-based banger and some introduction to characters and some imagery that you don't really quite understand. It's just, boom, cold open, here's some death, here's some ghouls, here's the title card, welcome to Tokyo Ghoul, and you're like, all right, I think I'm in, I'm along for this ride.
Yeah, and when you recommended it and I just sort of watched the trailer, you get that same feeling where there's a lot of intrigue into what is actually going on in this universe. Like, clearly there's something amiss with this woman and this big hulking guy. Like, I'm not entirely sure what their dynamic is, but I'm intrigued to find out more. And you mentioned like her agility. She's very fast and it's sort of very dynamic in the way the action sequences play out. And as someone that loved like Dragon Ball Z and the fight sequences in that show, I was like, okay, I'm immediately in on these fight sequences. I want to see more of these weird, like brightly sort of electric colored superpowers as well, because they all seem to have different versions.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. Like, it is like electricity coming out of these ghouls. Like, it's really brightly colored red, and yeah, she's got these spiky appendages that almost make it like she's like a death octopus. Like, there's additional like limbs coming out of her, and yeah, she's super fast, so she evades this unnamed hockey mask man and flees to the rooftops. And yeah, that's sort of the end of that opening. Then it cuts to the next morning, and it is such a stark contrast to those first few minutes where it's very straight-laced, very serious, violent, grim, and pretty, a lot of darkness and mixing in those sort of electric-based colors like you mentioned. But then in the next morning, we're at a local coffee shop. We get introduced to Kaneki and Hide, his friends. They're just sitting there, just a couple of young teenage boys, still at school, having a coffee, talking about life, and just being awkward teenagers. I do like that they overlay the news getting talked about in the background on the television in the coffee shop, where we're hearing about the murders in that exact same apartment complex. So that's kind of cool that we get this juxtaposition as far as the death and decay on the telly, but then these two young dudes, they're just typical young dumb teenagers talking about love and finding girlfriends and stuff. So it's a really big step sideways compared to what we got in those opening minutes, but it's cool. Like, it didn't feel out of place, and I immediately was like, yeah, I love these kids. Like, Hide, Kaneki, they seem like a pair of good buds, and they're just living their best life, having coffee before school.
Yeah, like super relatable. And I think that juxtaposition between the two sides was like crucial in terms of the story that we go on. You have the really calm, chilled out vibes of Kaneki in the coffee shop, in contrast to that crazy epic scene. And it's like, yeah, it's like the yin and the yang of this show and the story.
Yeah, it feels very much like these two worlds are colliding, where these ghouls have been around for an undefined period of time at the moment. When we're watching the anime, we know they exist because we hear more in the news where they're talking about the police have called in the CCG to investigate. So you're like, what acronym is that? Like, they don't say it means duh, duh, duh. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm guessing that's like a special task force focusing on ghouls specifically in ghoul crime and whatever. So my mind immediately, I'm like, oh, so like ghouls and humans have just coexisted and they just get along, and like, how long has this been happening for? Like, it feels very, very casual that they're just talking about this on the news, like it's just another day in Tokyo. Oh, these ghouls have done it again, but like, it's okay. Like, it was kind of interesting that it was really downplayed. So I was like, oh, okay, this is happening for a while. This isn't like the first ever attack and they're like, oh, what is a ghoul? What's wrong with this woman? It feels like it's commonplace in Tokyo. So I'm like, okay, so that's the table setting going on. This is something that's been happening for, I assume, quite a while.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it most interesting as well. It's not like, say, I'm trying to think, like Morbius, the Sony vampire movie that's not great. Although my partner will say it's great.
Crawl.
Yeah, I didn't like it. But in that one, like, the vampire attack is unexpected and unusual for everyone in that universe. Whereas this one, everyone is kind of like, it's just another ghoul attack. It's slightly unusual in that there's multiple victims this time, but other than that, we're kind of like, it's just another ghoul attack. It's like, okay, what's the deal here? And yeah, like you said, I sat there for a while trying to ponder, what is CCG? What could that acronym be?
Mm-hmm. We don't get the announcement of what CCG stands for, but my assumption is that it's a specialized ghoul hunting task force that are brought in on these types of situations. So yeah, we've got that news sort of playing on in the background as Kaneki is talking to Hide about this girl that he's crushing on, and she's special and he's never felt this way before. And Hide thinks that he's talking about Toka, who's the barista at the coffee shop they're at. And so he's like, is it her? Is it her? And he calls her over, as the young, dumb teenage boys would do. And he calls her over and he's like, are you seeing anyone? Like, are you in a relationship? And she naturally freaks out because she looks to be around the same age as these boys as well. She promptly flees that whole awkward situation, goes back to the safety of the counter. But then we see this purple-haired girl enter the coffee shop, and we get one of those cliched rom-com based moments where she's walking through and they slow the walk down a little bit and sort of just telegraph how special and pretty she is. And then Kaneki's like, she's the one. That's the one I've been crushing on all the time. She comes here. She's the one for me. So then we see Hide. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of bored of this situation. Good luck with her. I'll catch you later. And so he flees. But then we see Kaneki, and the woman's name is Kamashiro. She sits down at the coffee shop and he's like hard-eyeing her from across the coffee shop. And then he sees that she is reading one of his favorite authors. So clearly it's like, it's meant to be, we're star-crossed lovers. This is my future here. And it's a cute moment where I'm like, okay, so we're getting like a bit of rom-com mixed in with some horror and some thrilling type of moments here and some gore. I'm like, what tone is this anime ultimately going to land on? Because we've had two different ends of the spectrum in these first like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's jarring too. Like, I could see that putting people off very quickly, where you're like, oh, we've gone from this one thing to now we're at the total opposite end of the spectrum, and you're kind of like, what's happening? And yeah, I think as long as if you push through the first episode, then it seals it. It reminded me very much of Invincible, where you had to push through and finish the first episode, and then it's like, okay, I'm off to the races. I got to watch more and more of this.
And that is the tough part with this format on More Than a Hentai. It's great that we just deep dive on that first episode, but the first episode can be so heavy and full of table setting that we don't often get the momentum really established in the first 20 odd minutes as well, because 20 minutes isn't a ton of time to tell a lot of story. So yeah, these directors need to be very tactful as far as getting enough backstory established where we're like, okay, we care about these characters. I think we have a bit of an idea going on, but yeah, is it exciting enough or is it emotional enough for us to push forward into episode 2, 3, right through to 12 in season 1? So yeah, this first episode and these first like opening scenes in the first 5 minutes, it is very jarring. Like, that's a perfect word you use, because yeah, we're going from one extreme to the next. Like, it's hyper violent. You're like, ooh, this is a little unsettling, to cutesy romance time. You're like, am I watching the same thing here? Like, what are you doing to me, Tokyo Ghoul? But I'm a sucker for both of those genres. So I was still on the train and sort of kept pushing there. So we get a little bit more of that darkness weaving in the very next scene, because after he realizes that Kamishiro is reading one of his favorite authors, it flashes a few hours ahead of time. It's now the evening. Kaneki calls Hide on the phone, and Hide sort of stopped on his way home. It's evening now in Tokyo. We can hear that there's like police in the background. There's sirens sort of flashing in the scene. And we find out, another ghoul attack. So you can see straight away, it's like, that was sunshine and rainbows at the coffee shop, but now nightfall is set almost and shit's hitting the fan again. There's death and decay happening all around. So I like that we sort of have it bookended where it was thrilling open, gory open, soft cutesy middle, and now it's starting to sort of combine those two almost, and we're somewhere in between both of those worlds. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we find out too, the cops speaking off camera, they're explaining, ghouls, they only usually eat once and that'll sustain them for a month. It's kind of weird that there's so many attacks happening now. So yeah, circling back to what you said, where it's like, it's just commonplace. It's almost like they're seen as like a stray dog. It's like, oh, it's just a dog or a shark attack. It's fine. Like, don't worry. It doesn't happen often enough to be major. It's all good. But yeah, these attacks and these murders are escalating. And then we get this joking moment between the police officers where they're like, oh, if only why can't the ghouls just target the bad guys? And it's like, you idiots.
Yeah, it's like anytime there's some sort of evil presence, it's like, why can't they just get the bad people? It's like, that's not how these things generally work. But I think that idea of a shark attack as Australians, I think that resonates with me a lot, where it's like, yeah, one or two shark attacks here or there, everyone is kind of like, okay. But if someone was getting eaten by a shark every single day or multiple times a day, there would be panic in the streets.
Oh yeah, like I have a bit of a, not a phobia, but like I've got a respect for the sea, definitely. And anytime when I'm in the ocean and either I can't see the bottom or I can't touch the bottom anymore, I immediately think what could happen, because yeah, I've watched and read so much scary shit, whether it be fact or fiction, about sharks over the years, where I'm like, is my time coming? Am I going to get a leg taken off? Because yeah, it happens often enough to be a semi-regular thing in the news that pops up. But like you said, it's not a daily thing. And if it became a daily thing, no one would be in the ocean. Oh, a select few. I'd say like beaches in Australia, that beach culture would be gone very quickly. If people were getting eaten by sharks every day, yeah, people wouldn't be taking a swim between the flags.
Yeah, I think the old ocean pools and regular pools would be getting a much heavier workout if that was the case.
100%, yeah. So we see, yeah, these cops having a bit of a chuckle about the ghoul attacks. And then we get another sort of flash forward. We've now jumped to the weekend, and we see that Kaneki and Rize are on a date, and they're gone to the bookstore. They're sitting down. It's one of those very awkward, cliched first dates going on. Really cute, really endearing. They're having a discussion about their favorite author that they share together, and then just conveniently, the favorite book of that favorite author is both of their favorite books too. So it's like, oh, it's way too much of a coincidence. We're definitely soulmates, and you can see the love building in Kaneki's eyes very quickly. We get this moment where he sort of brings up, he's like, hey, you barely ate a thing. Are you feeling okay? And then Rize sort of says, oh, I've got a little bit of an eating disorder. Excuse me, I need to duck off to the bathroom. And she goes and they focus on this very delicious looking sandwich, I might add, that she's ordered, but she's only taken like a bite off the top, like the tiniest little eensy peensy bite you've ever seen on a sandwich. So you're like, what's happening here? Like, does she have an eating disorder, or is there more to this? Is there more that meets the eye to Rize? That was the first like alarm signal for me that I had, where I'm like, this seems a little strange. Like, even if you had one bite, you think you'd have a full-size proper bite, not just like a little mouse on the top. So did that sort of trigger any alarm bells, or any like, maybe we can't feel too good about Rize here, or were you sort of just going with it and swept up in this young love?
No, I think like with all of the set dressing that we'd been given in the lead up, with the chaos happening outside of this small bubble, and then with so many of these coincidences starting to sort of stack up on, oh, she happens to read the exact same author and they have the exact same favorite book. it did start to become something where you're questioning, like, is this all some sort of sinister plan?
Yeah, I agree. I tried to be like, nah, it's just cute. They're in love. They're going to have babies and live a good life together. But there was a part of me going, yeah, I'm watching you, Rize. I'm watching you, Rize Kamishiro, because there's something suspect here. But the date seems to be going well because they're in the bookshop and it's, I don't know if it's morning or lunch or afternoon, but then it sort of flashes forward again and it's now the evening.
Before we jump there was one little note that I took for that part during this incredibly awkward first date. The random gratuitous cleavage shot, is that like that's just a anime trope in my mind?
Yeah, that's an anime trope. So yeah, we have a moment where Rize sort of reaches over towards Kaneki, and yeah, we just get the shot straight down the blouse. Like we see the breasts. Obviously, they're covered with a bra and stuff, so it's not like full gratuitous nudity, but it is unnecessary, and it is a pretty regular trope in anime where if there is a bit of an awkward lead character that we're dealing with that isn't maybe very successful with the women, they love to lean into that stuff where they're like, let's just put them in awkward situations and put like a set of boobs in their face, or put them in a small awkward space for some reason and they're sort of hiding from someone and then the hand ends up on the boob, or like it happens all the time.
All the time, yeah. I think that it leans into the like awkward teenager just discovering the opposite sex thing, but yeah, it was just that one still frame of that shot. I was like, oh, that's okay. We're doing that.
Yeah, we did that. Luckily, they didn't do it for too long. It was like a couple of seconds. Like you said, it was a frame that was very fleeting. Yes, it was unnecessary, but I guess, yes, they wanted to show how awkward and kind of wholesome, because he didn't know what to do. Like he looked and then felt horrible, didn't know where to look, and was just uncomfortable but also smitten. Like he's just a young warm-blooded boy sitting across from the love of his life. So yeah, that does happen, and that does happen in a lot of anime. So yeah, strap in. There'll be a little bit more awkward sort of suggestive nudity or pseudo nudity scenes in many viewings, hopefully, or hopefully not, I don't know, but it's out there. So yeah, it jumps forward to the evening. Rize's telling Kaneki, I'm scared to go home because I live in an area where a lot of these attacks have been happening. I'm a little worried to walk home alone right now. It's dark.
Again, alarm bells.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, what's happening here? Are you laying a trap here right now, Rize? Or is this true? But Kaneki, just being the naive / stoic man now, or he's like, you know what? I'm gonna walk you home. It's okay. I'm gonna protect you. I've had a great date. The love of my life. We have the same favorite author, the same book. All's gonna be good. So they're walking home, and he's starting to share a little bit about himself. They're just talking whole and soul about books because that's their primary touch point between the two they've got. We find out that he lost his dad when he was really young, and that's what developed his love for books, because he started reading all his dad's books because he was home a lot. His mum was working, so he was just killing time and escaping into these books. We then find out also that his mum has passed away, so Kaneki is just on his own at a very young age. And after this sort of story ends, he has this moment where he pauses. He's like, oh, I've only ever told this story to Hide. So he's starting to think, yeah, this girl is the one, because she just made me open up and I've shared so much about myself. And yeah, it's a sad moment hearing that he's lost his parents and he's doing this all on his own. So that would be a lot to juggle for a young man. And then realizing that I guess he's only ever shared this story in his life with two other people until this, or one other person, and now two in this exact moment.
Yeah, and yeah, that definitely makes him a much more sympathetic character as well, because you're sort of looking at him and like, this poor kid like has had all of this horrible stuff happen to him. I kind of want him to get the girl now.
I felt exactly the same. Like immediately hearing these stories, and as a guy that's lost his father as well, I understand. And I've still got things of my dad that I've sort of used to, I guess, keep those memories going and learn more about him since he's passed. So yeah, I was very firmly in like Kaneki's corner here, where I'm like, no, yeah, get the girl, live the good life. Nothing but positive vibes for you, young man. I'm rooting for you, kiddo. Like, it's gonna be great. And then we get a really quick flash where we see Toka, who was the girl working at the coffee shop, had that awkward exchange with Kaneki and Hide for a hot second, and she's walking home with someone, and the friend she's walking with is like, "Is it all cool? Are you okay?" Because she sees Kaneki and Rize sort of walking together, and it's just a little nothing scene. Because I'm like, okay, what's happening here? I guess they all live around the same area of Tokyo. That's I guess why they frequent the same coffee shop. But there was also like, I'm going to write this in my notes because I feel Toka has something to play in this broader story here, but I don't know what that is quite yet.
Yeah, it's just a fleeting moment where it's just like the look that she gives. You sort of see this look, and it's like that was a sort of knowing, judgmental look, not a "oh hi guys, like we're friendly" moment.
Yeah, I wasn't sure like when I saw the look, because she saw them interact in the coffee shop, and I guess she's seen them indirectly in that coffee shop for probably months and months. So they're familiar characters. So I wasn't sure if it was maybe a look where she was partially jealous because she got, in that awkward situation where Hide was like, "Hey, have you got a boyfriend?" And maybe she thought, "Oh, there's a chance with Hide or Kaneki here that they could take her on a date." So I wasn't sure if it's like, is it a jealousy thing or is there something ominous that I need to pick up on and sort of run with a little bit more. So yeah, we get a super quick scene with Toka there. She continues away walking home. And then Kaneki keeps walking Rize home. And then Rize's like, this is my stop. It's all good. Thank you so much. He then requests to take her on a second date. But Rize then, she's like, "Hey, I've had my eyes on you for quite a while, Kaneki, like a very long time." Sort of leans in and sort of whispering some of this stuff in his ear. Personality changes, gets a little bit dark, a little bit sort of naughty, and how she's like, "Yeah, I've had my eyes on you," very sultry for a long time, saying how badly that she wants him. And you're like, hang on, what? This isn't the same wholesome girl that loves books and is awkward and has a, in air quotes, an eating disorder that we've just seen sort of this romance develop over this date today. And I'm like, what is going to happen now? What was you feeling in this moment where we sort of see this instant change with her before, I guess, the physical change? But what were you feeling when you start to see this sort of character just darken right in front of our eyes?
Yeah, there's definitely a like instantaneous switch to being a bit more sinister. And during that whole sort of sultry little talk into his ear, it made me immediately go, wait, are these people supposed to be the same age, or is she like much older than him?
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I thought the same, and like not sort of burying the lead or where things are going to go next. We'll talk about it very shortly. But then I started thinking, these ghouls, do they sort of almost age like a vampire does? Like once you're bitten by a ghoul, are you almost ageless and in air quotes eternal, or you just age really slowly? So yeah, is she an older woman preying on this young teenage boy? Because the vocal tone changed, like I said, the way she was talking to him, yeah, very, very sexually suggestive and very dominating as far as what she's saying and what she wants to do. But then we see her transition from human to ghoul. The eyes change. I love the way that they, like the art style, and even from the manga, how the ghoul's eyes look, where they're black with the pops of red in there. Like they really, really stand out. Like sinister, like you said, perfect word to describe it. Like they're just really unsettling, the eyes. And yeah, we see her transition into ghoul mode. The appendages pop out everywhere, and we get another pseudo octopus ghoul looking thing with the bright electric red appendages sticking out, and they extend out. And then she grabs him and she chomps right down on his neck and shoulder, bites in. There's blood going everywhere. Like she's had a good old bite of him.
Oh yeah.
And you sit there and go, shit, is Kaneki dead right now? Like that is a hell of a wound. What is happening?
Yeah, and yeah, that's when it's like we saw at the start the incredible violence, but this one felt like even worse just because it was so intimate as well. Because they've just been on this big long date, and then she's chomping down like, viciously on his neck, and you sort of go, oh wow, this show is going to get all sorts of intense now.
Yeah, it escalates very quickly. And yeah, I completely agree with you regarding it feeling a lot more intimate because, yeah, like Kaneki, this whole day or these days and weeks and months leading up to this perfect day that he's just had with Rize, he's feeling like he's king of the world, he's cloud nine, all his dreams have come true in this moment. And then to see all those dreams just snuffed out instantaneously with this very vicious attack from Rize. And then it gets even more unsettling because, yeah, her voice continues to change and she talks about, I love to have fun and I can't wait to rip your organs out. And you're just like, what? Okay, we're going there. Kaneki, who I thought was going to be this little underdog hero that we're going to root for throughout this season, he's about to get eaten and he's dead. Like, what's happening here? Someone come please save Kaneki because I love this little guy and I want him to succeed. But I also think it's clear that she's a predator and she's probably been doing this to lowly, heart-sick boys for probably a long while. It feels like she's got a pretty good trap and a pretty good plan that she plays out here that ends with her eating them and ripping their organs out.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like this was a first attempt at this whole scenario.
Yeah, no, she's experienced. Rize knows what's up, and so yeah, Kaneki gets to his feet, attempts to run, suffering a lot of blood loss and in a little bit of a haze because his neck and shoulder have just been chomped to bits by Rize. But those blood-like appendages, they just extend out and grab him and just drag him back. I kept thinking the octopus thing again there, where these big old tentacles or like a giant squid come out and grab him and drag him back because they're sort of in this area. It's like a construction site where this attack's happening out of, I guess, common general populace. I couldn't really see anything residential around in the shot. So it was, they're in this sort of like construction site happening. And the scene of him getting dragged back is really unsettling because you can see the panic in his eyes. You can see that he's, I guess, in this moment accepting that death is imminent and he's about to get eaten alive.
Yeah, and I loved the way that she sort of led him down this path too by sort of having him recount his sort of life story, and then all of a sudden he's like, how did I get here? Like, why would I walk into this really secluded place after when we left the place, the bookshop? She talks about, I live in the area where all of these attacks have been happening, and now all of a sudden I'm in like this dark alleyway construction zone, totally alone with this person.
It was very, very expertly done. Like you said, it was just a little subtle lead where she got him so focused on this life story and opening up about the hardships that he's encountered. He hasn't realized that she's taking him almost into this maze and laying this trap where they're so far away from general humans just walking the streets. They're in this isolated construction area. So it is a sad moment when, he sort of wises up to, I'm trapped, I'm screwed, I'm going to die, someone help. And as he's getting sort of dragged back and she's talking about eating him and whatever else, one of those appendages impales him in the chest, and then she sort of got him leant up against the wall of this construction site. She's very eager to still disembowel him and whatnot, but then she's like, oh, I guess you're not as strong as I hoped. I think I've just killed you. I think you're dead. But that's a shame because you've got the right amount of fat on you as far as the flesh consumption, which I thought, I'm like, that's such a creepy, fucked up thing to say, but it was also so perfect.
Yeah, it's like, she's not looking at him as a person. Like, she has no empathy or emotion about killing this kid. It's literally his food, his livestock, essentially.
Exactly. So you're like, God, it's the beginning of the end for Kaneki. But then we sort of see a shot like from sort of like a bird's eye view at the top of part of this construction area where there's a lot of piping and poles and construction based material up there. And you can see some of the fittings and the fixtures keeping it secured starts breaking, and all of this construction stuff falls down, lands right on Rize, crushes her, and then she's like, how could this happen? And you can sort of see the ghoul eye poking through one space of exposed area while she's completely covered in all of this construction equipment that has pretty much almost led to her downfall. So you're like, whoa, okay, was that completely by chance? Was there someone up there that's tampered with that? What's happening here? Like there's so much more mystery that I do not have answers for right now.
Yeah, it made me think like she's planned everything about this attack essentially down to the T, but then is obviously committing the attack in a new location or she's used this location before and now all of this scaffolding has been was added that day or something. It was something she wasn't expecting. So that was a nice little twist on it where you sort of then are sitting there thinking, yeah, is that just pure accident? Is that another random coincidence in the life of these two? Or is this intentionally, has she been attacked by someone?
Yeah, so it was making the cogs in my head turn. And then we get this really beautiful dreamlike sequence where Kaneki is underwater, not getting chased by sharks, but is underwater in this really beautiful scene. The ocean is nice and clean and free of any type of badness, and he's just swimming around in this ocean. But then we notice that Rize is in there, and we see a bit of a shift in this ocean where she's swimming up after him, just like a shark that we talked about earlier, which I like that it sort of connects in that way. And she's swimming after him in this ocean, but behind her, there's just this like wave of blood and chaos and just evil that's sort of following her as she swims after Kaneki. But as this sort of dreamlike sequence is playing out, we get confirmation that Kaneki has been rushed to hospital. We hear this doctor talking. All we hear is just the voiceover of the doctor, and he's saying, you know, in order to save this boy, we need to give him an organ transplant. And then the nurse is like, but there's some risk with that. And he's just like, no, I'll put my reputation on the line. It's all good. And so we find out that he's taken the organs from Rize and put them in Kaneki's body and, performed this life-saving surgery or potential life-saving surgery in this moment. But I like that they layer in the voiceover work over this really pretty ethereal oceanic dream sequence, but then the dream sequence gets all kind of fucked up. And I guess thinking about it now, I guess the seeing Rize and all the blood and the darkness combine with Kaneki in the ocean, I guess, as their two bodies coming together in real life in a way. Like it's a bit of a metaphor, that part. So I'm like, I like that. I like that storytelling. I like that imagery.
Yeah, I thought it was like a beautiful depiction of sort of the tale of like the afterlife, or people like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like it was that story, but in a fresh new spin of the underwater element where you can still hear the doctor and the nurses having that conversation, but it's obviously muffled by the water. And then, you have the darkness like sweeping up to try and pull him down before they can complete their surgery. I did think it was weird that the doctor decided to do a organ transplant with the other victim of this catastrophe.
I guess it was like, okay, we can only save one, so let's use her organs to save Kaneki. It'll all be good. And I guess I was thinking too, I'm like, this feels very fast and loose. But then I thought back, I'm like, well, he doesn't really have a next of kin to sign off on this surgery. So I guess they've just sort of went, you know what, YOLO. The doctor seems like he's Dr. House or something. He's like, fuck the rules. I'm just going to operate on this person and put this other person's organs in them. It'll all be fine.
And I guess, if the paramedics had got there and pronounced her dead on the scene already, no harm, no foul, I guess.
I guess so. And I don't really know the rules and regulations of Japanese medicine. So maybe it can be a little bit lax like this. Who knows? But so Kaneki wakes up. He's now the proud owner of Rize's organs, and he's struggling to eat in the hospital. He can't put anything down. So straight away my private investigator hat was on, and I'm like, I remember this with Rize not eating the sandwich. What is going on here? So I sort of connected that breadcrumb from that sandwich earlier. We also find out that Hide has stopped by several times, and they really do well in this episode showing how much Hide loves and cares about Kaneki. Like, they're best friends. They've been friends since they were young kids at school. And Hide, I guess, knows that, yeah, he doesn't have parents there to support and look after him. So Hide sort of has taken on this role as a surrogate parent or like a brother, and is helping him out. And there's a lot of love between the two. So I like that was established regularly and often in this first episode between Kaneki and Hide.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the sort of brotherly love between those two. Where, yeah, he is trying to do everything he can, but Kaneki is obviously struggling physically and emotionally following the accident and the trauma. So he's kind of almost pushing his best friend away, which then makes you continue to second guess, like, yeah, what is happening here with this whole organ transplant from Rize, who our most recent sighting of was very sinister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made me question, like, what path is Kaneki going to go down? Are these organs going to turn him bad too? Like, I'm like, what is going to happen here? Is he going to be preying on young people in construction yards in the future? Who knows? But yeah, we have that moment because, yeah, the nurse is telling Kaneki that, yeah, your friend stopped by again, just showing that love. Then the doctor comes in and he goes back to the well again, and he's like, oh, we've noticed, Kaneki, that you haven't been eating. So I'm like, there's a theme here. They keep going back to this. My super sleuthing is knowing no limits right now. But then Kaneki sort of says that his sense of taste has changed and everything that he eats tastes disgusting. And I'm like, oh, gotcha. I mean, you're a ghoul now, Kaneki, or something. You're no longer fully human anymore. There's something going on in your insides that is changing, and I doubt it's probably for the good.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool way to introduce this whole change in his life with the, I guess, ghoul infection is probably the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to describe it. So yeah, they haven't quite confirmed it yet, but yeah, they're certainly not dancing around what could be happening here. Like the doctor is very vocal about it. Kaneki's very vocal about his sense of taste changing and everything tasting horrible. And then it sort of flashes forward a few days from that moment there, and Kaneki has gone home. He gets home and sees that Hide has left a care package on the door with all his favorite foods and his favorite burger. Like, he's a sweetheart. Like we all need friends like Hide. Like he's a legend. He's just wants the best for Kaneki. And in the note, he left him a handwritten note, and it was like, hope you're doing well, but please hurry back to school. It's lonely without you here. I'm just like, my heart is full for you, Hide. You're a good man, and Kaneki, I hope you can see how sweet and beautiful your mate is.
Yeah, you've just gone through this crazy trauma, and yet he's stocked up your entire pantry and fridge, so you can just go home and try to recover as best you can and as quickly as you can.
Yeah, and he's still ignoring Hide, which is sad. Hasn't returned his calls or whatever else. He's just sort of ducking him because I guess clearly Kaneki is processing what the hell has happened and what is continuing to happen. And we see sort of later in the evening, Kaneki sitting on the bed. He looks very disconnected. He's just zoned out, not really sure what's happening, just very frozen and lifeless, sitting on the edge of the bed. We've got the television on the background with the late night news playing. And then we find out there's like a ghoul expert on the television talking about things. And Kaneki's ears sort of prick up and is alerted when this ghoul expert sort of says, yeah, our tongues work differently to them. They hate the taste of human food and find it repulsive. And so he has this moment about, I hate human food now all of a sudden too, from the hospital. What is going on? He jumps up from the bed quick as a flash, grabs the care package of food and drinks that Hide left him, and he's trying everything. It all looks really tasty. It all looks very delicious, and he's trying a bite of this and a sip of that, constantly spitting it back up and running to the toilet and vomiting everywhere. And even his favorite hamburger that Hide hunted down, especially for Kaneki, he cooks that. Looks delicious. Big old patty laced with gravy. I was getting I was salivating at this moment. Anime food just gets me all kinds of sort of wound up and hungry. And he eats into that, and same thing. Can't digest a damn thing. And you're like, ooh, how far away are we here from complete ghoul confirmation, Jamie? It feels like we're on the doorstep.
Yeah, it feels like they've pretty much solidified it. They're just waiting to give us the red eyes.
Yeah, it feels like it's imminent. And yeah, we get Hide trying to call Kaneki again. Kaneki just screens the call, doesn't answer it. And that's where we get some of that context about where they've been best friends since they were kids. And in the voicemail that Hide leaves, there's this really cute moment again where Hide's like, hey, I can't remember the author's name, but it's like, hey, your favorite author is doing a signing at this bookstore in the next couple of days. Give me a call back. We can get along, because in just a nothing part of the conversation earlier where he got confirmation about his favorite author, he remembered that and researched it and found that, this author's in town doing a signing. And I was like, oh, this really, really touches my heart again. So yeah, Hide's, I don't know if he's in like a shared apartment or if he's like just at a mate's place, because he's tried to call Kaneki, leaves that voicemail, and there's this other dude in the room with him just doing some work on a computer, and they're talking about they've been Hide and Kaneki been friends since they were kids. But this other dude at the computer, he's not answering you. I just cut ties with him. He's like, fuck him, he's done, just throw him away, like move on. I'm like, oh, it's a bit aggressive.
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
really
little unnecessary.
Like, my mate almost died. I understand if he just doesn't really want to deal with people right here.
Yeah. But this other guy, I'm like, that seems a little intense. I'm going to keep my eyes on you. You could just be a nothing character in this moment, but I'm like, maybe there's more to you too. So yeah, we have that exchange with Hide and this other blonde-haired fellow with glasses. And then it jumps into the next scene, and Kaneki is now walking through Tokyo, very disoriented, stomach rumbling. He's got the hoodie on, covering his face as much as he can. And you can see he's really struggling with life. His inner thoughts are just sort of saying, flesh, flesh, flesh. And he's like starting to deal with paranoia and psychosis. And this whole moment is not only creepy, but it's beautiful, seeing all these people walk through some of these main streets of Tokyo, and the light work of the way it's animated. We're in the evening and seeing the light playing off the dark and the reflections and just all this traffic of people. It's gorgeous. And seeing him struggle so much in between all this beauty, it's like, this is slick. This is slick. Like, Piro, shout out to them. They know what's up. And this is another one of those scenes, like you said at the start, where I'm just like, this is stunning. I was in on this scene. I was eating it up.
Yeah, they capture what I love about Tokyo, despite never being there. Like, when I think Tokyo, I think of like Shibuya crossing at night with all of the like neon lights and everything, and they really capture that vibe in this whole walking through the city scene.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then that beauty takes a very quick turn, because you can hear those inner thoughts starting to take over, and the flesh has gone from like a whisper to a dull roar to almost a scream in Kaneki's head. And then he sees this young girl crossing the road, and I'm like, is he gonna just launch at her and attack her in front of everybody right now, right in the middle of this busy street? Doesn't happen. He sort of freezes up and is just standing there, has a lot of restraint to try and stop himself from biting this poor little girl. A couple walks past and they're like, ooh, like, I think the girl was like, are you okay? And then the partner of the girl's like, no, don't get involved. He's not worth it. He's crazy, sort of thing. And then Kaneki freaks out in this moment again, runs all the way home, charges into the door of his apartment, runs to the mirror, and he looks in the mirror, and his left eye has, I guess, turned ghoulish, you could say. So his left eye has gone fully black with this electric red iris highlighted there. His right eye is still normal, but seeing this eye turn ghoul is such a cool moment, and it's super interesting the way they framed this shot where, yeah, he's looking at himself in the mirror, not knowing himself because he's changed so much. Like, it's really well framed, and this part again is really, really well animated. And yeah, got the heart racing a little bit here, because I'm like, it's building. What's going to happen? Please be okay, Kaneki, because I still love you.
Yep. Yeah, and it gives us that confirmation essentially that there is some sort of ghoul infection going on. And yeah, I wrote down Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I got big vibes of that. And then the whole like mental struggles he's going through, I just felt like this whole episode from the point of the attack onwards is like an allegory for like teenagers dealing with sort of puberty and then like depression and things like that. And I think We get the theme music at the end in the credits as well, which leans into that. And I was like, okay, between all of these elements and plot points, theming, I was sold at this point.
I think that's you sort of summarized that part perfectly. Yeah, where we're seeing this young man just adjusting to his body changing, like puberty, like shifting into adulthood and stuff like that. It's clearly not the way that we'd want to go, for sure. Like becoming an adult, you don't want to become a ghoul. But
I feel like I am sometimes.
you both your eyes look okay right now. So unless you got contacts in, I don't have to worry too much. You're looking pretty good. Don't have to worry. But yeah, this moment happens where that transformation is confirmed. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde love that comparison because, yeah, it is bang on as far as what's happening with Kaneki here. And then he sort of has this moment where there's some voiceover playing within the scene where they're like, ordinary knives can't cut the ghoul's flesh. That's the best way to determine, like, if someone's a ghoul or you need something a little heavier to deal with the ghoul. So I immediately went, oh, shit, what's going to happen here? And yeah, Kaneki doesn't hesitate, runs straight into the kitchen, grabs a pretty hearty kitchen knife
Yeah.
and like lifts up his shirt, looking down at his exposed chest. And there's no hesitation on the little man. He's got the knife and he's sort of got it above his head. He's doing a big wind-up stab motion and he just whips it down with all his strength right into his stomach. And you sit there and go, fuck, what's happened? But you hear the knife break and you hear the blade sort of clink and clang onto the floor. And then, yeah, Kaneki realizes, yep, I'm a ghoul. It's confirmed in this moment. But it is a really big, sudden, intense escalation in those couple of minutes where, yeah, from the street scene to running home to seeing the eye in the mirror, punching the mirror, breaking the mirror, and then grabbing a knife and attempting to stab himself, right? Like, he didn't grab the knife and it's like, oh, I'll just sort of...
I'll just cut my finger. Like,
yeah, I'll just cut my finger or cut my arm. He went the whole hog. He went right for the guts with a giant kitchen knife, and to see it break and do no damage to him at all, I'm like, man. So this goes to show how scared Kaneki is in this moment, but it also made me think how goddamn strong and how potentially unkillable these ghouls are if they can withstand impact like that.
Yep. And I think that's kind of enigmatic of the show too, in like that ramp up where we go from these relatively calm, chilled out moments to sudden extreme violence. And like, yeah, too bad if he wasn't a ghoul in that moment.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, like, yeah, the blade went into his guts and he was like, oh no, my new organs.
Yeah. I'm
back to the hospital. The doctor's like, you again? Like, fancy seeing you here so soon, and probably find someone else's organs to chuck into him this time. But yeah, it's a really cool moment. It's a really heartfelt moment too, because he falls to the floor and he's crying because he's realized that his life is changing forever. Definitely for the worse, it feels like, because yeah, he's a ghoul and he's going to probably start eating people soon. And then we flash to the next scene where we see Toka again. She's just finished work at the cafe, and it's almost like her ghouly sense is tingling because she's like, what's happening? Like, I feel something going on. What's happening here? And yeah, we see Kaneki on the beat again. He's since left his apartment, managed to, I guess, collect his thoughts a little bit, and he's walking out, and in his head there's this voice, kill a person, take their flesh and eat it. And you're like, whoa, the ghoul has firmly taken over Kaneki right now. And there's this moment where he's, yeah, just, I guess, following his nose, you could say, and he's like, I smell something new. It smells like my mum's home cooking. And he just aimlessly starts running towards this smell, salivating as he does. Like, it was very cartoon-esque, like where you see like something in Looney Tunes where, Pepe Le Pew is floating his way because he's smelling something all the way, down the road in Paris somewhere. And lo and behold, he follows this smell all the way down into yet another random back alley. He can't escape these things.
Yeah, he loves a creepy back alley.
Yeah. But yeah, that line where it was like, kill a person, take their flesh and eat it. I was like, ooh, this is ominous. Like, did the ghouls almost have like this other head in their thoughts, like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, where they're dealing with split personality, or is this just something that Kaneki's going to be dealing with? Because I guess he's half human, half ghoul, because he's got the insides, but he's still himself. It made me think, where are they going to go with this?
It made me think back to the Venom Morbius universe. It's like Venom, the symbiote, speaking to Tom Hardy's character.
At least the ghoul voice was not like, "Hey Kaneki, I used to be a loser." Or, you know, like, some of the worst in the comic universe, that dialogue. My goodness, yeah. So we get none of that. He's just kill a person, take their flesh, and eat it.
Yeah, no subtleties about it.
No, yeah, it's subtle as a sledgehammer. This anime, they don't hold back. So he runs down into this random back alley, and we see this other ghoul feeding on this now deceased human man. Kaneki falls to his knees in tears again, realizing that home cooked meal he smelt was not like, you know, roast chicken and veggies. It was a human body. It was death. It was flesh. And we meet this other ghoul named Kazul. Pretty chilled out ghoul. Seems like a good dude. He's sort of saying, you know, I'm pretty hungry. Sorry. I can clearly see you're a ghoul as well, but I will offer you some flesh if you'd like some, young sir. Like, I'm like, oh, this is nice. There's a bit of like ghoul broing downness going on here. They're friends. These ghouls can be nice and I guess human and respectful of one another.
Rips off a leg. He's like
just casually.
He's like a drumstick of human leg. Like, okay.
Yeah. It was such a cool moment. Yeah, it was very endearing and sweet seeing, Kazul just being just a friendly neighborhood ghoul, just wanted to do right by Kaneki. But that changes very quickly because then we're introduced to Nishiki, who comes in and in one quick movement kicks Kazul's head clean off, and it goes bouncing and landing right near Kaneki, who is still in shock, still emotionally broken, still not really sure what's happening. But it's such a really quick moment, and the fact that I don't really show the kick happening in sort of full frame rate, it's only a couple of frames. It's like what? I beg your pardon? What's going on? Kazul is dead, and that's his head now. I have more questions than answers.
Yeah, it's another cool way of like showing the abilities and strengths and weaknesses of these ghoul characters without like really giving away the ghost immediately. Like, we've still got questions about how did he move so fast? How are they so strong? Why can't they be penetrated by regular blades and things like that? So there's that was the big thing I took away from this episode. There's a lot of intrigue and a lot more mystery that is still to be resolved throughout the rest of the season. Yeah. Which I think is great for a first episode of, you don't want to make it obvious of the direction you're going in the show. You want to keep lots of threads left dangling to then be tied up later. So I think they did a good job in that sense.
There's so many threads in this episode, and meeting this powerhouse Nishiki who can just effortlessly kick heads off people. I'm like, okay, maybe this guy's potentially going to be a big bad. Maybe he's one of the big wigs around here. Especially
kicking the head off another ghoul. Like, he didn't just kick the head off a regular human. Like, he kicked the head off a ghoul who we've already been proven are quite powerful and almost indestructible at points as well.
Yeah, it goes to show that Nishiki's a bit of a bad bitch very quickly, and he's very imposing and not to be messed with. And he quickly walks over to Kaneki and he's saying, "Hey, you've entered my feeding grounds. Like, this is my turf, bro. Like, I own this part of the town. What are you doing here? This is so disrespectful." Goes down some analogy about talking to someone else's girlfriend and whatever else. And we have this situation where Kaneki's now thinking, well, my time is up. This guy's probably going to punt my head off too. We get this really quick scene up from the rooftop looking down again. We can see the feet of someone overseeing and sort of monitoring this situation. And you're like, oh, okay, who's this? But we don't have to wait long at all, because Toka then drops from the rooftops very effortlessly, very superhero-esque, just drops like 20 stories, doesn't take any fall damage, just lands gracefully and tells Nishiki to let Kaneki go. And she starts saying, you've got no say in how these territories are divided up. You're just a general ghoul. These territories are run and governed by an agency called the Untaku. And Nishiki's like, fuck the Untaku. we don't need to deal with these, button pushers and suits. They're not here living the day to day. And so there's a bit of a verbal stoush between the two, but that escalates quickly into violence because Nishiki and Toka are about to do the dance to, I guess, see who's the toughest one of the two. Toka charges right on in. You don't really see what's happened. Nishiki, takes one minor blow, you think, and he's like, "Oh, is that all you got? That's nothing." And then Toka says a pretty funny, like an interesting quip back, and you see that she's so fast, she cut Nishiki like 20 times from head to toe. Like you see this really cool animation where these wounds were impacted that quickly. You see them all start like opening up instantaneously, like, and the little bits of blood spurting out. And it's a really cool moment where you're like, okay, we just thought Nishiki was the big bad that can just kick heads off. And now Toka is like this blade princess that is the fastest thing on two legs that can just effortlessly slice and dice somebody, even though we saw 5-10 minutes earlier that a big old kitchen knife can't stab anybody, but Toka can cut this guy up like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, and like when she mentioned the otaku, you definitely sort of get the sense of there's a lot more dynamics here in this Ghoul world. We've got some relatively nice guys, we've got some real jerks, but then there is some form of like governance on them as well. And you're like, okay, I want more of just the Ghoul world. I don't care about the human world anymore. I want more of this Ghoul world.
Yeah, it made me think immediately of like the Hellboy live action films where they sort of go into the hidden underworld with all the monsters, and there's hierarchy and governance and law enforcement and social tiers. I started thinking, like, just like you said, like this isn't just a bunch of feral ghouls running around eating people willy-nilly. There is some structure here and probably some laws and some reform that they need to adhere to continue to exist as a ghoul. But yeah, we pretty quickly understand how tough and strong Toka is, because Nishiki, after he gets sliced up, turns tail and he just runs. He's like, no, I don't need any of this noise. See you, Toka. See you, Kaneki. Sorry for potentially alluding who's going to kick your head off too. I'm out. And shoots off and disappears almost in like a cloud of smoke. And then, Toka offers an arm to Kaneki. She can see that Kaneki's getting very ravenous and is very hungry. And so, that same arm that Kazul offered him earlier, she picks it up. Here you go, have a bite. Don't resist. And you can see initially he reaches out almost instinctively, but then realizes what he's doing and pulls back and like holds his arm close to his chest. And he's like, no, I can't eat. I'm human. I refuse to eat. I'm not going to be a ghoul. I've never hurt a fly. How am I supposed to eat? Like, how am I supposed to live? And it's a really, really heartfelt moment. Like, it's a big emotional moment because you can see how torn Kaneki is and how he has no answers. Like, how am I going to live? How am I going to live from this moment? I don't want to live this world, this ghoul world where it's survival of the fittest type of thing, where eat or be eaten. And he doesn't want a piece of that because he has literally never heard a fly in his life, and he's just a sweet, innocent boy that just wants to be in love with a girl that likes the books he likes.
Yeah, and there's so much to take in for him in that moment of people that I know are now turning out to be ghouls. I potentially haven't eaten for days on end at all now, and anytime I do, it just makes me throw up. And I'm now pretty certain that I'm a ghoul. What the hell is happening here? Like, my whole entire world has just been shattered and turned on its head.
The life he knows up until this moment is gone, because he is now Kaneki the ghoul boy, and he's refusing to eat. And Toka's processing what's happening because she realizes during this exchange that he was with Rize, and she's like, why didn't she eat him? Like, what's happening here? So she's trying to piece together what's played out the last several days or several weeks, whatever the timeline is since the attack. And he's still adamant. He's like, I'm not going to eat. How am I supposed to live? I can't be a ghoul. I'm a human, etc., etc. So then Toka's like, well, let me help you. And she rips off some flesh, charges at him with that crazy agility, and rams this flesh right into his mouth, and you'd assume straight down his throat. And that's where the credits roll, in this moment where Toka's boom straight in, like Hadoukens him with a bit of flesh right down the gullet. And yeah, then the credits roll and we get this really cool track called Unravel by TK. Really like funky sort of alternative jam. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this vibe. But also that was such a hard cut point to end that episode on. Like it was a cliffhanger because you're like, oh, he's finally eaten. What happens now? Does he turn fully? I've got so many questions. It felt like television of yesteryear where it's like, yeah, tune in next week, children. Same bat time, same bat channel to see if Robin escapes from the Joker. And I'm like, man, I'm so in on this because like you said, there's so many threads, there's so many stories and things that are alluded to that are just glossed over, but have just hooked me. I've got so many hooks in me from this first episode. And it's just a fun, interesting, creepy, unsettling time.
Yeah, it's a very, for me, very Dragon Ball Z ending where it's just like, and this person is potentially dead. And where it's ending the episode, you're like, oh, what? Okay, now I got to wait. Well, back then, Cheese TV times, it was, I'll have to wait until tomorrow morning, get ready for school and sit down and watch Dragon Ball Z. And with the whole, like, forcing him to eat, like, with some basic knowledge of, like, vampire lore, which is kind of the vibe you get from these ghouls, it does give you that, okay, so now that he's been forced to eat, he has to 100% turn now, because that's always the ceiling factor for a vampire story where they don't fully become a vampire until they eat, and then as soon as they do, then the chaos really kicks off.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, oh no, our boy Kaneki, he's gone, he's turning, he's going to go fully dark side here because, yeah, Toka's just signed his death warrant, it feels like, by force feeding him this chunk of flesh. So we see that the ending credits roll, but then I don't know if you watch through right to the end and we get a very weird recap introducing Kazul, the friendly ghoul that tried to feed to offer some food to Kaneki. And we find out that he was a one-time aerobics class instructor. The animation style in this little like recap, it only goes for like 30 seconds. It's completely different to the main show, but it's like just this funny, whimsical, quirky recap / intro to Kazul, who only got 30 seconds of screen time before his head got kicked off. So I like that they gave him a little bit of story and fleshed him out a little bit more before his head ultimately got punted off. But it was a very, very weird way to end. But I'm like, this anime feels very weird and disjointed in all the right ways. So this didn't really break it for me either.
Yeah, it's not like your classic like Marvel post-credit scene where it gives you more context or teases something future to come. It's kind of just a weird, like funny. It's kind of like a Daredevil post-credit scene where not Daredevil, Deadpool post-credit scene where it's kind of just a joke.
Yeah, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, we started really, really hard and really abruptly and aggressively, and we're ending on a bit of a light note. So yeah, what is episode 2 going to bring me? Who the heck knows? But that first episode, I really dug it. I was engrossed right from that cold open all the way through to the end. I like the tonal shift. I really like the characters they introduced. They didn't overwhelm us with too many characters. Yeah. But the main ones we got some time with, I started to get attached to and care about them and have a little bit of curiosity about where they slotted in. But yeah, overall, I had a fun time with the first episode. What was your overall thoughts? Good, bad, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle? Do you want to give it a rating? What are you vibing after episode 1?
I really enjoyed the first episode. I loved the the theme song in the credits. That's probably one of my favorite theme songs now.
Damn, okay.
It vibes with my musical tastes. Like it's kind of alt rock, emo rock music. I was like, I'm loving the theme song. I loved how the show gave us those hidden in plain sight moments with a lot of these characters and lots of open threads. So I think, like, if I used my rating scale, I would give this a 4 out of 5, which is on my scale, like, great, watch this. Like watch it as soon as you can, but not like drop everything and focus on it. But if this like sounds like something you would like, definitely check it out, because like you recommended I watch this. I started it on Sunday and I've since gone on to watch the entire first season in 3 days.
So yeah, that's my next question. I was like, will you continue to watch? Clearly you did, and you've smashed out those first 12 episodes. So non-spoiler, how do you feel after watching this first season? Like, are you still as keen? Is it still a 4 out of 5 for you now you've made your way through all 12 of season 1?
Overall, yeah, I think the season would stay at a 4. There are a couple of episodes where it kind of dips for me, but other than that, I enjoyed it. Yeah, just it continues that whole Dr. Jekyll yin and yang thing of balancing the two sides, the human ghoul elements and the, like we mentioned, the sort of puberty, depression, just change of life moments. I really enjoyed the whole thing.
Nice. Well, I hope you continue into season 2, and yeah, there's some live action films if you wanted to attack them, which aren't too bad, to be honest.
I was going to ask, is the live action movie any good?
It's the anime's better, but like the live action's pretty okay. Like, so you see a lot of these mangas or animes translated to live action, especially when they get westernized, they can usually be pretty rough. Like, here's looking at you, Cowboy Bebop.
Death Note. The Death Note one was really bad.
Yeah.
I loved One Piece though.
Yeah, One Piece actually probably the best live action anime adaptation. Oh, and Alita Battle Angel is really good too. And I hope we finally get a part 2 to that. But when the Americans take hold of the anime and try and live action it, for the most part, it sucks. But if the Japanese are doing these live action adaptations, usually they're pretty heckin' good. So yeah, they're not bad. They're worth a look. Listeners, you're still on the fence about if this is an anime to watch. If you've enjoyed things like Dead Man Wonderland, Attack on Titan, Arjin, or Parasite the Maxim, if you watched any of those and you thought that was great, they're the most commonly compared and recommended anime in parallel with Tokyo Ghoul. So if you love one of those, there's a fair chance you're going to love some of this. But Jamie, I'd love to hear your last word, presented by our friends over at Japan Crate. Experience Japan through snacks and knickknacks via monthly package drops courtesy of japancrate.com. And while you're there, be sure to use code 8bit15 at checkout to save yourself 15% and get yourself free shipping on that crate anywhere on planet Earth. So Jamie, what is your last word or words on Tokyo Ghoul?
Bright, visually dynamic, and very gory and violent.
I am in agreement with all those. And fun, which is something you probably don't always think when you attach gory and violent to things. Like, I like that it's fun and it gets a little bit silly, because it makes those gory and violent moments hit even more, because it's not just constantly punching you in the face with gore and intenseness. There is some lulls and some quiet moments and some silly and endearing moments. So when those big violent attacks hit, they hit all the more harder.
Yeah, it's got character moments, and the violence, but it doesn't divulge into just being like torture porn.
Yeah, it's certainly not torture porn. And you know what? If you're into that, that's fine. I'm not going to yuck anyone's yums here, but yeah, there's a really great fleshed out story and a universe here that's well worth exploring. But Jamie, yeah, that brings us to the end of another episode of More Than Entire. Thank you so much for stopping on by. Give the listeners one last shout out to what you got coming up, where they can find you, etc., because yeah, you got so many things that are well worth taking a peek of, listeners. Like, as we mentioned at the start, we'll put all the links in the show notes to the thousands of things that Jamie's doing on the regular. But man, what's coming up that listeners can get excited about?
We have, so the latest batch of Australian wrestling cards will be up for pre-sale in January. The next issue of Pario magazine will be also out in January. And then on the podcast, we have a Squid Game The Challenge review coming up, a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory refresh ahead of Wonka, and then one of my favorite episodes, which we've just sort of done our first ever movie draft for 2024, where we selected our 6 picks for potentially what could be the best movies of the year, basing it on the Metacritic Metascore. And I've already been bitten the butt with one of my choices, with it not
Oh,
releasing
no.
in our window that we allocated. So I've already been screwed over. Like 24 hours after we recorded, they announced the release date of this movie, and it's not in the window we're covering. So I think that's still going to be a fun episode, though. So
I love those draft and prediction episodes. They're always good, and then especially revisiting them at the back end of the year and seeing, you know, where were the hits, where were the misses, who was the most accurate drafter.
Yep, yeah. So that should be a fun one.
Nice. Yeah, if you obviously wanted to check out all the fantastic things that Jamie does, you can check him out on Twitter or X if you're a sicko and want to call it that, at Jamie Apps Media. You can find me at Brendan 8-Bit. You can find 8-Bit as a whole at We Are 8-Bit. Check out the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are doing our end of year recaps and Festivus episodes in the next couple of weeks too. So there's plenty of content to consume there as well. But be sure to rate and subscribe this podcast, the commentary booth, as well as all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular, because those ratings and reviews help keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. But whether you're anime subbed, dubbed, or still yet to come, enjoy yourself, stay hungry, and much love to all the gorgeous waifus out there. Goodbye.
私の手は無駄だよ。
大